Hello, and welcome to Worldview Connections in our series about scientism. I want to just go back to this quote one before we move on. The quote from Steven Weinberg: "The more the universe seems comprehensible, in other words, the more we comprehend about the universe, the more it also seems pointless." So there's a part of scientism I want to make a comment about that. In some forms, it's very deterministic. In other words, everything we do is already predetermined. There's no free will, and there's debates about it. You can look up online talking about how determinism versus free will. This gets into what I would call the nihilistic determinism. So to me, this is tragic on humanity. I do believe there's free will, and anyway, this isn't the necessarily the topic for that, but I want to point that out right there that scientism has a huge element of there's determinism and no free will. It's materialistic, and so that's a good quote to focus that point on. Now, when we get into scientism and the social attitudes that we see in comic art and other ways, they're trying to reflect this attitudes, arguments, and criticisms against religion and faith. Are these true? Are these fair? And let's discuss each part of this cartoon comic. For example, this is a history of religion. Let's just take parts of it. Let's take the first part. It's obviously referring to prehistoric and primitive religions. Um, there's magic rocks and there's magic animals, which may be true of ancient humans. However, we do not know very much about when archaeologists work on these things. Look on our videos about the origins of religion. There's really little we know about what they were doing and what the things they've left behind really mean. Get to the next part: magic invisible animals in the sky. We specifically don't know what they were doing necessarily, but yeah, we get into ancient history of humans. We can see invisible people in the sky, what Yuval Noah Harari refers to as the imaginary order. And yes, so there are various religions. However, were these people experiencing something with the divine and they just couldn't put a proper name on it? And maybe the names were all different for the same thing. In other words, maybe they did experience something of the divine, and each culture and through time and each place has a different name for the same thing. So anyway, getting to fewer invisible people in the sky, and then they get into this part where obviously referring to the prophets who speak of the person in the sky or Jesus, and then so people who claim to have come from the sky, and then you have people who claim to speak for the people who claim to have come from the sky, uh, and then the last where it stops is growing up without religion. And so scientism at its heart is getting rid of all religion. Um, but my questions are ancient and modern religions only for the stupid? So that's what this is referring to, obviously. Is faith and religion ignorant and immature, as it's showing? Because growing up is not having religion or faith. Is atheism and materialism for those who are able to be intelligent, mature, and grown up? But the people who aren't mature or grown up or intelligent, they have religion and faith. And I've shown other examples throughout our video series and on our channel and Worldview Connections that there are very intelligent Christians and theologians. I may not agree with everything they say, but they're very intelligent in science and philosophy and in other sectors of society. Saying this is very unfair to them. Moving on, even if science itself is there, I want to just talk about this for a minute at the end of this video. That does science help us know the truth and value of everything? Should we use the scientific method to analyze or quote unquote know if an artwork or relationship or food is true or good? I mean, these kind of scientific terms don't apply to everything in life, is what I'm saying. I don't listen to a song and say, "Ooh, yes, the scientific method, the evidences show that this is a good song." No, it's emotional, it's subjective. And so the more agnostic approach to it, I think, is more humble, of saying there are things we don't understand in the world, in the universe, in ourselves. We're going to get to more of these things. But when you look at relationships and experiences you have each day, they're unique. And we don't know a lot of things about life in the universe. So stay with us in this series about scientism.